Okay, Roo. You don't need my exact setup. I already did a kill at 500% so that you won't follow everything I do in this kill at 100, but some of it has some similarities. So, you'll need a VIP bot, 100%. You don't need the equilibrium or the full book, but I run an equilibrium build because it's more consistent with damage. You can, if you have that set up, I would recommend it. But at low ranges like that, you can even run Vampirism. Now, let me pause the video. There's 6 pads in the Zami arena. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? You have to charge all 6 of these pads and get Zami's health to 0 to start the last phase. Ignore the double numbers up here. I recorded on my streaming setup, and now I'm recording over the video that I just made. So normally, on a lot of people on lower ranges, will do in this order: pad 2, like not necessarily killing the witches, just after you're done killing the witches. Pad 2, pad 1, pad 4, pad 6, 5, and 3. It's the fastest way to kill Zami. The way I'm going to use in this video is a high and range safe way. It is doing pad 2 through 6, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then jumping at 1. Now, when you go to kill these witches, Zami won't attack you at all until all of them are dead. I always start on pad 2. So what I like to do is kill the very first witch over here, and then I just ignore this one, and I keep going this way, and I kill this one. Do not summon your conjures until you're on the very last witch. I'm going to continue the video. You'll see me. I go to kill this witch over here. Now, there's going to be times that I'm going to Devo. And that's because these witches can hit hard. They have hit me for like 2k through prayer before. But it's not all the time. By the time I'm done killing them all without Devo, there's times that where I'll be at like half HP. That's after killing them all. So Devo is just to make sure that I can life transfer once I summon my conjures and extend their timer. So, and each pad has an ability. Now, every pad will give you a buff and also give Zami a buff. Or give you a debuff and Zami a debuff. Vice versa, however you want to look at it. Okay? So, and you'll notice when the kill starts, you'll see 4 squares underneath Zami's health. Those are the pads. And when you go to do a kill, you can like hover over each square. They're right here. That'll tell you the buff and the debuff. So in 500s, I throw skulls immediately so I can get this gray bar down. Now what this gray bar is it's kind of like an additional health bar. If you start charging this pad up full before this gray bar is at 0, you'll have to take this gray bar out, and then you'll start damaging that health bar up here. So I like to get it low. So what I do is I skulls, I bloat, I build back to living death, and while I'm getting all my stacks up. I do a whole different rotation what you're doing. Like I said, literally all you need is skulls, volley, and finger. And anticipate for a couple different situations. I'll show you that later in the video. So anyways, I'm going to play it. You'll notice that I am just going to make sure he knocks down. Now to keep in mind, he changes his attacks. And to kind of give you an idea, range is this little spike right here. And just to kind of give another hint, he will always throw range out of his right hand. Okay? He will always throw range out of his right hand. Left is magic. It'll be a ball. He started the fight with it. If you want to rewind about a minute, you'll see it. So, there's the ball. That's the magic hit. Now, the goal is to get his health down to the next arrow. If you don't, in a certain amount of auto attacks, he will spawn his first spec. Now, in this kill, given that it was a 500, I didn't let any specs happen. So, if anything, I will record another video at a lower range showing you how to deal with each spec accordingly. But nonetheless, the first one's not horrible to deal with. It's the second one that's a pain in the ass. So, before I go to the next pad and start charging it, I have to go kill a witch in the realm. You'll see me hit that action button near my my camera. Go in. You anticipate every time you go to kill the witch, anticipate, because it'll immediately asphyxiate you, which will cause a stun. I go in, invoke death immediately when I see my guy in the realm. Once he gets to about like 12k health, I tele out because the bloat should take care of the rest. This pad, I particularly take a little more prep time because in this pad, he spawns a protector and a healer. Now the protector, if you look at the mini-map up here, will spawn about right here. That'll reduce my damage with all my abilities. So I gotta like melt his HP quick, or I get the one mechanic that's annoying. The healer is on the complete other side of the arena. He doesn't even know that we exist right now. We will handle him later. So you notice I'll throw skulls, I'll weapon spec, volley, finger, and then EOF spec. Now he's gray bar. That means I get no specs at all. Once again, gray bar means no special attacks. It's just autos. And you'll notice I'm going to keep an eye on Zammy in case he switches autos. So he's still throwing mage. Now he's switching to range, and you'll see me switch. Once the protector is dead, I will then go build my adrenaline a little higher after popping Living Death. Run over to the healer. And what I want to do is run past the healer. The healer's going to start running towards Zammy right now. I'm going to run past him a little bit because I'm going to throw skulls, and it's going to bounce in between the two, causing damage to that gray bar and killing the healer. And then after that, I will charge the next pad, which will be 4. Or while not charge it, I will go and kill the witch and then charge it. So once again, the witch asphyxiates, which in low ranges, it does not asphyxiate immediately, but it will give you an impact, which still is a 1 second stun. So once again, every time you go up in that realm, anticipate. Even freedom. Freedom will work too, but if you have anticipate up, awesome. Use that every time. So I'm going to do my normal build up. The next pad will be pad 5. This one has a mechanic that I would like you to see because it's annoying to deal with if you don't know how to deal with it. It's special. And I'll have to record a more information type of deal because I never went over the pads and their orders. But what this pad does is when it spawns mines across the arena, and a mine will show up on every single pad. And every time you charge another pad after you've already charged this one, it'll respawn those mines. So you have to keep blowing up mines. Luckily, we only got to blow up mines for pads that we have not charged. Those are the only ones we really necessarily got to worry about. So we're going in, we're killing the witch. And you'll notice the moment I charge this pad, I get off of it because a bomb will spawn underneath me, the mine. And if you're, by the way, the mines always do magic. They always hit magic, and they will stun you. So I get off the pad immediately. I literally stand on this little like ramp right here, because if you stand any closer, it'll set the mine off. And he spawns them all the way around the arena too. He doesn't just spawn them on the pads. So you'll see I jump on, and I'm building up, and I immediately move off the pad. You'll kind of see what they look like. Let me pause it here. So they kind of look like this. You can't really see it here. I'll try to see if I have a better angle on one. But nonetheless, get it down to the gray bar. There we go. Now you see it. It's kind of like vibrating on the pad. So I'll Devo, anticipate, step on the pad to blow it up, get off. Now, once again, when I charge this pad, the mine will respawn. I just get off. And there's mines all the way across the arena. More mines will spawn as I charge pads. Because what happens, if you noticed, we started on pad 2. And then we went to pad 3 and 4, which I don't think this one gets stacks. But every time you charge a new pad, every pad that you've already activated gains a stack. So I've charged this one first, so it had 1 stack. And then I charged 3 more after it. Now it has 4 stacks. The crazy thing about P7 is it gets inverted. So the one you charged first gets, instead of it being at full stacks, it's now down to 1. And the very last one you charge goes up to full stacks. So you really want to decide what pad you want to charge here. That's why you charge the more dangerous pads at the very beginning. So they have like little stacks when you go into the last phase. To give you what pad 2 does, it's called Execution. And it's 5% of your total HP. If you, per stack, if you reach an X amount of that HP below, you'll get immediately executed. So the greatest visual example I can give you is you notice that some of my HP bar is grayed out. So if my damage gets to that point, he will immediately execute me. And so it starts off as a little sliver. You can hardly see it when you get your first stack, but as you charge more pads, that gray area gets bigger and bigger. So that's why you charge it first. So when you go to the last phase, it goes back down to that little sliver. So this is like a kind of a thinking game here. But I promise you, I'm making it harder than it seems. I promise you, you can do 100, 200, possibly even 300. 300 is not that hard to do with Necro. I noticed, by the way, the Witch is not dead. You'll get a message like that where it says Zamrock's connection is currently so strong, or too strong. That lets me know that the Witch is not dead. Went up there, noticed the Witch. The Witch will end up dying. Went back down. So now I know the pad's ready to charge. I just keep Zammy down low as I possibly can. Zammy is constantly healing, by the way, in the gray state. If you notice, he is consistently healing, and the heals get slowly bigger and bigger. So you don't want to wait too long. But anyways, charge this pad. This pad, the lower your HP is, the stronger all your abilities get. That's why you charge this one of the very last, because in P7, you get a massive hit. And so that massive hit drops your HP, therefore makes all your abilities strong, and Volley becomes a absolute tyrant. By the way, unless he calls B rune in P7, which I'll show you what B rune is, do not throw living or skulls. Do not throw skulls at all. By the way, this arena we're in right now, the Infernus with the Witch, this is the P7 arena. Zammy will teleport into here, and we fight him in here for the last phase. It's literally only like 30 seconds long. So last pad, I don't do split soul. I just soul split, because one, when you kill him and you send him up for the last phase, he kills all your conjures and all your stacks. So I just let everything rip right now. And what personally I like to do at 500, and you don't have to do it because you're going to be low, is the demon that he spawns kind of hurts. Therefore, I reflect and I immediately invoke death. So when I click on him, I'll use a bloat and then I'll summon my conjures. Now, B rune is literally this right here. It looks like a B, the letter B. And I'll show you what I mean when he calls a rune. In this kill, he does not call it, so I do not skulls. So he throws 2 mage attacks. He calls a rune. He called stick. Now there's 2 stick runes in this arena. You can kill any one of those stick runes, but you got to pay attention on what rune he calls, and you got to kill him in that order. So he calls stick rune, and I believe he calls star. So there's stick rune, and I constantly keep the camera near him, star. So that means I cannot use skulls whatsoever, because what will happen is if I kill any rune that was not called, I take a 10k hit. So if you skulls, you will always hit B. And for some reason, there's a glitch that if B gets called, it won't like kill you if you double kill it. I don't understand it. But now before this second rune dies, I Devo. And the reason is because when the second rune dies, he does his big bomb. Now this bar up here, if you want to rewind and see what it is, that is not his HP bar. That is the amount of damage this bomb's about to deal to us. Let's say it is a 20k bomb. A 20k bomb will hit us, and then he'll throw 4 bombs after that, all being quarter bombs, so they'll do 5k each, quarter of 20,000. If we do not kill him by the time he throws all those quarter bombs, he will repeat the cycle. He'll do a melee slam, and then he'll call 2 more runes, and call another demon. So in this kill, I one cycle it, I went ahead and devoed. I activated Devo, because that melee slam. The moment he puts his wings on the ground, I'll Vit Pot. But the moment the rune dies and it says I've severed his connection, I reflect, because you got to pop a lot of defensives here. Right, so I reflect. I'm going to use Disruption Shield by switching to Lunar Spellbook and hitting that. Not needed, just reduces the damage of the bomb. Right, and then I think I divert too. But Vit and Reflect are your 2 biggest things. Especially Vit. Vit is the biggest thing. Do not forget to Vit. So there's the melee slam. The bomb's coming at me. I went ahead and Vit. Now my HP is half. So when my HP hits half, I know that I get that damage buff from that pad I mentioned earlier. So I throw my volley. And they all hit about 8,000, 7,000. And keep in mind, I've already did Shatter. Now, I don't know if you have Storm Shard and Shatter. Let's see, we're at 920. I'll go back into the kill. If you notice, Zami, he has 2 red lightning bolts on him. So Storm Shards, you just add, it's basically adding damage to use later on him. This will stay on him regardless. This won't clear when he goes to the last phase. So you want to ideally get 7. 7 or higher. I think we go into the last phase, yeah, with 9. 10 is the max you can get. And it does about 3,000 damage a stack. So we're looking at 27,000 damage. So we use this ability down here to add the stacks, and the ability right next to it to blow up the stacks on him to deal all that damage. So I'm going back in. Devo, Reflect, Vitpot, Volley, Finger. Now I only do 1 finger. I go straight into an EOF spec, and that's because the weapon spec for tier 90 hits a lot faster than a finger, and normally hits harder. And you don't want to die. You don't want to get down to that execution point. I bring a Ring of Death just in case I feel like I'm not going to. But nonetheless, we have Invoke Death. He's at 37k. He's dead. Now, it did not happen here, but to know if you got a drop or not, these green particles, which I'll show you. Like this green particles by the sword. Let me go here. These green particles just floating around the sword right here. Your character will have them floating around them as he's running towards that portal. If you get green orbs, it means you've got a unique drop. Like I said, I will do another guide, a little more informative on what every pad does and all that stuff. But nonetheless, this is what I can quickly whip up. I gotta be to work in like 35 minutes. But this is the gist of Zami. You do not have to do nowhere near the amount of work I did at this kill. 500% is a lot different than 100%. Like 100%, I can camp soul split. If I camp soul split at 500%, he'll have my cheeks. So, nonetheless, your biggest abilities for 100, 200, and possibly even 300, Skulls, Volley, Finger. If you want to add another DPS, if you have a T90 in the EOF, that would be your next one. But anticipate every time you go to see that witch. Every single time. And keep your conjures up. I mean, that should be normally what you do with Necro all the time, but keep your conjures up. They carry heavily. And as you noticed, I did not use food during this 500 point until I wanted to heal my HP up before the bomb. So I think I ate a sail and sipped a brew. And I also fucked that up. You don't have to go behind Zami. Like, that's just me being dumb. And always have your Ghost's ability popped. And then I have my Excalibur healing me as well throughout that. And always keep Zami Vuln bombed. I don't know how often you use Vuln bombs. Keep them Vuln bombed. It helps so much. And so, I think that's really all I have. Make sure you bring a couple prayer pots. I obviously have a Blessed Flask. That's right now in today's time way too expensive to make. It's like 800 mil to make or some shit like that. But that's the gist of Zami. I will run Zami with you. I don't know if you're available tomorrow night before work. I don't know what time zone you're in. I can't remember what side of the state you're on. But I'm in Central Time. So if you're Eastern, I'm an hour behind you. I should be available from like 6 or 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. Central Time. So if you are Eastern, that's 7 or 8 till 11. But nonetheless, deuces.